The rain-slicked streets of Brooklyn gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps as I slammed the apartment door behind me, my heart pounding like a bass drum in a half-empty bar. "Alex, wait. God. Please don't walk away like this." Jordan's voice cracked through the downpour, raw and desperate, chasing me down the fire escape stairs. In that split second, as thunder rolled over the East River, I realized the gift he'd shoved into my hands wasn't just a box. It was a grenade, and we'd both just pulled the pin. I clutched the small, leather-bound journal to my chest, its edges digging into my ribs like a secret too heavy to hold. We'd been best friends for 8 years, through keg stands in freshman dorms, all-nighters cramming for econ finals, and that godforsaken road trip to Yellowstone where he confessed his fear of turning into his absentee dad. Jordan Hayes. Golden boy from the suburbs of Philly, with his easy laugh, calloused hands from weekend carpentry gigs, and a string of girlfriends who never quite stuck. Straight as a ruler, or so I'd always believed. Me, Alex Rivera, the queer kid from Queens with a chip on his shoulder the size of the Verrazano Bridge, who'd learned early that love was a contact sport you played with gloves on. Tonight was my 28th birthday, and the party, if you could call a 6-pack of IPA and a half-eaten pizza in my cramped Bushwick walk-up a party, had started like any other. Just us, like old times, trading stories about the grind. Him slinging lattes at that overpriced cafe in Williamsburg. Me grinding away as a junior copywriter at an ad agency that treated creatives like disposable coffee filters. The journal had arrived midway through our 3rd beer, wrapped in butcher paper and tied with twine that smelled faintly of sawdust. His signature touch from those DIY projects he posted on Instagram to impress the girls. "Open it later," he'd said, his blue eyes flicking away too quick, cheeks flushing under the sting of the cheap bulb overhead. But curiosity's a bitch, and birthdays make you reckless. I'd torn it open right there on the sagging couch, pages spilling out like confessions from a confessional booth. Handwritten entries, dates stretching back to our junior year at NYU. Not poetry, thank God, no tortured sonnets, but fragments. Watched a laugh at that dumb meme today. Why does it hit different? Drove him home after the bar. Hand on his shoulder felt right. Too right. And the kicker, dated last month. Can't keep pretending. This isn't friendship anymore. It's everything. My stomach had dropped like the subway at rush hour. "Jordan, what the hell is this?" I choked out, voice barely above a whisper, the words blurring as hot tears pricked my eyes. He hadn't answered, just stared at the floor, jaw clenched, the silence thicker than the humidity clinging to the windows. That's when I'd bolted, grabbing my jacket and the journal, needing air, space, anything to stop the world from tilting. Now, blocks away, the rain plastered my shirt to my skin, but it was nothing compared to the storm inside. Had he been playing me all these years? Or worse, had I been blind to the one person who'd seen me, really seen me when everyone else scrolled past? I ducked into a bodega on the corner of Grand and Bushwick, the bell jingling like a bad omen. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows on shelves stocked with plantains, lotto tickets, and those neon energy drinks that taste like regret. Mr. Patel, the night clerk who'd carted me back when I was still sneaking smokes at 17, nodded from behind the counter. "Rough night, Alex? You look like you saw a ghost." I forced a laugh, sliding a pack of gum across the counter. Something to do with my hands. "Birthday blues, Mr. P. The usual." He rang me up, eyes kind but prying, the way immigrants do when they've patched up enough broken American dreams to recognize one unraveling. Outside again, the journal burned in my pocket. I flipped it open under the awning, rain pattering like impatient fingers. Entry after entry peeled back layers I'd never imagined. Jordan's quiet rage at his parents' divorce, the way he'd envied my fearless, coming out at 19, while he buried his doubts under football highlights and frat parties. Brave. Me? I'm just scared of the quiet after the cheers die down. My chest tightened. This wasn't a prank, wasn't some straight guy's experiment. It was him, vulnerable, unfiltered, laying his soul bare. But what did it mean for us? Friendship was our anchor, the one steady thing in a city that chewed you up and spat you out. Cross that line and what? Lovers? strangers, or something beautifully, painfully in between? By the time I looped back to my building, the rain had eased to a drizzle, streetlights haloing puddles like faulty halos. Jordan was still there, slumped against the rusted railing, soaked through, his broad shoulders hunched like a kid waiting for punishment. "Alex," he started, voice gravelly from the cold. "I didn't mean for you to. Shit. I ruined everything." I stopped a few steps away, the journal a barrier between us. Ruined? Or finally made it real? The words hung there, sharper than I intended. He looked up, eyes red-rimmed, and for the first time, I saw the cracks in his armor. The boy who'd punched a wall after his mom left. The man who'd held me through my first bad breakup without a hint of judgment. We climbed the stairs in silence, dripping trails behind us like unspoken regrets. Inside, the apartment smelled of cold pizza and spilled beer, fairy lights strung haphazardly over the exposed brick adding a mocking warmth. I tossed the journal on the coffee table, watching it skid to a stop beside a half-melted candle. "Talk," I said, sinking into the armchair, arms crossed like a shield. Jordan paced, running hands through his wet hair, leaving it spiked like a crown of thorns. "It started small. College, remember that party at Sigma Chi? You danced with that guy. First time I'd seen you let go. I was jealous. Not of him exactly, of how easy it looked for you to just be." He stopped, fists balled. "I've dated girls, Alex. Good ones. But it's always felt like I'm reading lines from a script I didn't write." I swallowed hard, the room shrinking around us. "And me? What am I in this script?" His gaze locked on mine, fierce and tender. "The lead. Always have been." The admission landed like a sucker punch, stealing my breath. 8 years of inside jokes, late-night drives blasting Springsteen, him crashing on my couch after shifts that ran till dawn. Had I missed the signs? The lingering hugs? The way he'd light up when I walked into a room? Or had I willfully ignored them, terrified of losing the one platonic love that didn't demand I change? We talked till the sky lightened to pearl gray, words tumbling out like debris after a flood. He confessed the fear of his conservative family back in Philly, of the guys at the gym who tossed around slurs like dodgeballs, of betraying the straight identity he'd worn like a second skin. I shared my own ghosts. The rejection from my abuela after I came out, the parade of hookups that left me hollower than before. By dawn, exhaustion claimed us, curled on opposite ends of the couch, a throw pillow our fragile DMZ. As sleep tugged at me, his hand brushed mine. Accidental, maybe, and I didn't pull away. For the first time, the future felt not like a cliff, but a bridge, rickety but real. The weeks that followed blurred into a tentative new normal, like learning to walk on a sprained ankle, painful, exhilarating, every step a gamble. Jordan and I fell into a rhythm, careful not to name what simmered between us. Mornings meant coffee runs to his cafe, where he'd slip me extra foam hearts on my latte, our fingers grazing over the counter with a spark that made my pulse stutter. Evenings were movie marathons in my apartment, his head on my shoulder during the sad parts of Call Me By Your Name, neither of us commenting on the way his breath hitched at the peach scene. We were explorers charting unclaimed territory, maps drawn in sidelong glances and half-spoken truths. But New York doesn't let you hide forever. The city has eyes, nosy neighbors peeking through blinds, baristas who remember your order and your scandals. It started small. A coworker at the agency, Mia, cornering me in the break room with a sly grin. "You and that barista? Bill. He's got that brooding artist vibe. Total upgrade from your usual disasters." I laughed it off, cheeks burning, but the seed was planted. Then came Sarah, Jordan's on again, off again from college, who showed up unannounced one Saturday with a bottle of Pinot and a determined smile. She'd moved to the city for a tech job, she said, eyes scanning my apartment like she was casing the joint. Jordan had frozen in the doorway, me half hidden in the kitchen, the air thick with the scent of takeout Thai and unspoken history. They'd dated for a year, serious enough for family holidays, the kind where you pose for photos with eggnog smiles. Sarah was sharp, ambitious, the girl who'd aced every class while Jordan barely scraped by. We were good together, he'd told me once, voice laced with nostalgia. Now, watching her perch on my couch, legs crossed like she owned the place, I felt the old jealousy coil in my gut. Not romantic, but territorial. This was our space, carved out of late rents and shared dreams. Jordan played host, charming as ever, but his laughs rang hollow, his eyes darting to me like a lifeline. That night, after she left with a breezy, "We should do this more." He collapsed beside me, head in hands. "She's not getting it. Thinks we're just roommates with benefits or some bullshit." I traced circles on his back, the gesture automatic now. "And what are we?" The question slipped out, bold in the dim light. He lifted his head, eyes searching mine. "More. God, Alex, so much more." Then he kissed me, soft at first, tentative like testing thin ice. When I kissed back, it shattered everything. Hands in hair, bodies pressing close, the world narrowing to the taste of him. Salt and coffee and home. We didn't go further, not yet. It was enough to map the shape of possibility, to whisper promises in the dark. But bliss is a luxury tax in this town, and the bill came due fast. Jordan's family announced a visit. His mom and stepdad, flying in from Philly for a weekend of quality time. He'd been out to them as by a month prior, in a tearful phone call that left him wrecked for days. "They said they love me," he'd reported, voice shaky with disbelief. "But it's weird now, like they're waiting for me to snap back to normal." Normal. The word soured on my tongue. I met them at LaGuardia, Jordan's hand brushing mine in the crowd. A secret Morse code. His mom, Linda, enveloped me in a hug that smelled of lavender and skepticism, her smile tight. "Alex, Jordan's told us so much. You're like the brother he never had." The stepdad, Mike, clapped my shoulder too hard, eyes appraising. "Heard you're keeping this one out of trouble. Good man." The weekend unfolded like a minefield dressed as a picnic. Dim sum in Chinatown, where Linda grilled me on my prospects. A Yankees game, Mike's arm around Jordan in a bear hug that screamed ownership. I played the role, witty sidekick, deflection expert, but cracks showed. Dinner at my place, Jordan's foot hooked around my ankle under the table. A silent anchor. Then Linda cornered him in the kitchen while I cleared plates. "Honey, is this real? Or are you confused because of him?" Her voice carried, sharp as broken glass. I froze in the hallway, heart hammering. Jordan's reply was low, fierce. "Mom, Alex isn't the reason. He's the clarity." She left the next morning, air-kissing cheeks with promises to talk more. Jordan waved them off at the curb, then turned to me, face ashen. "She'll come around. She has to." But doubt had taken root, a weed choking the fragile bloom between us. That night, we made love for the first time. Not rushed, not scripted, but slow and sacred, bodies learning each other like Braille. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, he murmured, "I love you, Alex. Have for years." The words unlocked something in me, a flood of "yes I do too" that we danced around forever. Word spread as it does in tight-knit circles. Friends from NYU texted congratulations laced with surprise. My sister in Queens called, thrilled but probing, "Finally, but be careful. He's got that straight boy baggage." And then the betrayal hit like a freight train. Sarah, ever the networker, had friend Jordan's mom on Facebook. Innocent, she'd claim later. But screenshots flooded my inbox one Tuesday afternoon. Anonymous sender. Linda's posts, veiled barbs about influence and lost boys, tagged with Sarah's sympathetic emojis. Worse, a private message chain unearthed from God knows where. Sarah to Linda. "He's always been impressionable. Alex was always too close. Maybe an intervention." I confronted Jordan at the cafe, the lunch rush a chaotic shield. "Did you know?" My voice cracked, the journal from my birthday mocking me from my bag. He paled, shaking his head. "Alex, no. Sarah and I haven't talked in months. This is her playing puppet master." But the damage was done. Trust, that gossamer thread, frayed under the weight of family whispers and exes with axes. I stormed out, the city a blur of honks and heat, questions ricocheting. Was this love, or just another straight guy's detour? Had I been the fool building castles on sand? Days turned to radio silence. My apartment a tomb of half-eaten takeout and unanswered texts. Work blurred into numbness. Nights into replays of his touch, his laugh, the way he'd hum off-key to Wonderwall in the shower. Then, the call came at 2 a.m., his voice. Wrecked. She's telling everyone I'm faking it. Mom believes her. I can't. I need you. I drove to his place in Queens, the bridge lights streaking like tears. He opened the door, eyes hollow, a bruise blooming on his cheek. Mike's handiwork, from a concerned visit. He said I was throwing my life away, Jordan whispered, collapsing into my arms. We held each other on his fire escape, the skyline an indifferent witness. I'm not running, I said, fierce, but we fight this together or not at all. He nodded, tears mixing with mine. In that moment, betrayal's sting dulled to resolve. Love wasn't a gift unwrapped once. It was daily, gritty, a choice amid the wreckage. Summer in New York is a beast, humid, unrelenting, turning concrete jungles into steam baths that press the city's pulse against your skin. For Jordan and me, it became our crucible, forging something unbreakable from the shards of doubt. We started small, therapy sessions in a cramped midtown office, where Dr. Elena, a no-nonsense Latina with a laugh like church bells, coaxed out the rot. Jordan unpacked his family's Bible Belt echoes, the stepdad's tough love that masked fear of scandal. I confronted my armor, built from high school lockers slammed in my face and grinder ghosts who vanished at dawn. You're not broken, she'd say, scribbling notes. You're human, messy, but whole. Publicly, we tiptoed. No hand-holding in crowds, but stolen kisses in alleyways behind his cafe. The thrill of secrecy sharpening every touch. Friends rallied, our NYU crew organizing a reclamation barbecue in Prospect Park, complete with rainbow flags and craft beers that fizzed like defiance. Mia showed up with her girlfriend, toasting us with plastic cups. To the slow-burn rom-com we all shipped. Even Sarah slunk back, an apology text laced with regret. I was scared of losing him, but I see now you two are endgame. Jordan deleted it unread. I urged forgiveness, not for her, but for us. Holding grudges is like drinking poison and waiting for them to die. I quipped, earning his eye roll and a kiss. But conflict doesn't bow out gracefully. October brought the hammer. Jordan's mom filed for a family intervention, enlisting Mike and a pastor from their Philly church. The email arrived like a subpoena, formal, accusatory, citing moral confusion and external pressures. Jordan read it aloud in my kitchen, voice steady but eyes wild. They want me to come home, alone, for realignment. The word twisted like a knife. I paced, rage boiling. This isn't about you. It's their fear. But we're not their script. We decided to go together, a united front, no apologies. The drive to Philly was a gauntlet of silence and Springsteen, Pennsylvania's rolling hills mocking our urban grit. His childhood home loomed like a relic, split-level rancher with faded siding. A cross-stitched, "Bless this house" on the door. Linda greeted us with hugs that didn't reach her eyes, Mike looming in the living room like a sentinel. The pastor, Reverend Hale, a silver-haired bulldog with a Bible thicker than my resolve, led the charge. Son, the good Lord designed man for woman. This phase, its temptation. We've seen it before. Jordan's hand found mine under the table, a lifeline in the storm. Reverend, with all due respect, this isn't a phase. It's me. And Alex, he's the best part of it. The room erupted. Mike's vein-throbbing tirade about legacy and shame. Linda's sobs for the grandkids she'll never have. I stayed silent at first, then spoke, voice calm, laced with the Queen's fire my dad taught me. Mrs. Hayes, I get it. Fear's a hell of a drug. But love? It doesn't bend to sermons or spreadsheets. It just is. Jordan squeezed my hand, pride flickering through his terror. By night's end, no miracles, just exhausted truces. Mike stormed to the garage. Linda whispered to Jordan, "Give me time." We left at dawn, the skyline swallowed by fog, but lighter somehow. Betrayal had cracked us open, but in the breach, truth poured in. Back in the city, emotions deepened like roots in cracked soil. Thanksgiving with my family in Queens. My sister grilling Jordan on his intentions, abuela post-reconciliation, slipping him tamales with a wink. You hurt me, Niño, and I'll hex you with the evil eye. Holidays glowed with tentative joy, but winter's chill brought the real climax. Jordan's carpentry-side gig landed a big contract, renovating a brownstone in Harlem for a queer nonprofit. It was his dream, building safe spaces, literally. But midway through, the client bailed, citing budget cuts. Whispers of homophobia from the board leaking through. Jordan unraveled. Tools tossed in fury. Calls to his mom going unanswered. What if I'm not enough? He confessed one blizzard night, snow muffling the world outside. I pulled him close, our breaths fogging the window. You're everything. To me, to this city, to the fight. We made plans, not grand gestures, but gritty ones. Crowdfunding the project, rallying friends for volunteer hours. The betrayal from the board stung, a microcosm of the world's casual cruelties. But it ignited us. Late nights, sanding beams turned intimate. Sawdust in our hair, laughter echoing in empty rooms. This is us, he'd say, pressing a kiss to my temple. Building from the ruins. Climax crested in February, Valentine's Eve. A freak nor'easter blanketing the city in white. Power flickered out across Brooklyn, stranding us in the half-finished brownstone. Candles guttered on plywood floors, casting shadows like specters. Jordan had planned a surprise. A picnic amid the studs and drywall, wine from a thermos, my favorite empanadas smuggled from Queens. But as wind howled, doubts resurfaced. His voice small. What if they win? Mom, Mike, the world. I cupped his face, thumbs tracing jawlines etched with worry. They don't get to define us. We do. Every damn day. Thunder cracked, and he broke. Tears hot on my skin. I betrayed you, Alex. That birthday gift? It was selfish. I was scared you'd say no. The admission hung, raw as exposed wiring. Betrayal, not from outsiders, but from within. His silence all those years, letting me ache alone. I pulled him down to the blankets, hearts hammering in sync. You gave me truth. That's not betrayal. It's salvation. We clung through the storm, bodies and souls entwined, the gale outside mirroring the one we'd weathered inside. Dawn broke clear, snow-draped city reborn, and with it, our vow. No more hiding. Spring unfurled like forgiveness, Jordan's project funded by a viral X-thread from Mia, tools clanging with purpose. His mom called in April, voice tentative. I miss my boy. And Alex too. Progress, not perfection. We moved in together that summer. My Bushwick walk-up traded for a one-bedroom in Bed-Stuy with a fire escape view of the world we'd claimed. Looking back, that birthday gift wasn't the turning point. It was the spark. The real fire? It was the ashes we sifted through, hand in hand, to find gold. By fall of that year, Jordan's brownstone stood complete. A community center with rainbow murals splashed across brick, rooms echoing with laughter from support groups and art classes for queer youth. The opening gala was a whirlwind. String lights strung like stars, donors mingling with the kids who'd painted the walls, their faces alight with stories we'd never know but honored anyway. Jordan spoke, voice steady as the beams he'd laid. This place isn't just wood and nails. It's proof that love builds, even when the world's hellbent on tearing down. I watched from the crowd, chest swelling, our eyes locking in that old electric way. No labels needed, just us solid as oak. Life settled into a rhythm deeper than before, humanistic in its quiet heroism. Mornings, him brewing coffee strong as his resolve, me sketching ad campaigns inspired by our chaos. We fought, of course, over whose turn it was to scrape ice off the windshield, or when his Philly drawl thickened with stress from a new full-time gig at a sustainable build firm. But conflicts resolved in talks, not tempests. Apologies over takeout, makeup sealed with forehead kisses. Betrayal's scar faded to a faint line, a reminder that trust is rebuilt plank by plank. The humanistic heart of it all emerged in the margins. We volunteered at the center, Jordan teaching woodworking to teens wary of their own hands, me facilitating writing workshops where words became weapons against isolation. One kid, Marcus, 16 and freshly out, reminded me of my younger self. Eyes haunted, laugh tentative. "How'd you know it gets better?" he'd ask. Chisel paused. Jordan would clap his shoulder, gentle. "Because we make it better." Every story shared, every hand extended. No grand sermons, just presence, the quiet revolution of showing up. Family mended in fits and starts. Linda visited for pride, marching beside us down Fifth Avenue. Rainbow flag clutched like a talisman. "I was wrong," she admitted over post-parade beers, tears carving tracks through sunscreen. "Fear blinded me." Mike lagged, but a grudging text, "Proud of the house you built," cracked the ice. My side embraced fully. Abuela's empanadas at every holiday. My sister's barbs turned to big sister wisdom. "Don't fuck it up, golden boy." Romance wove through like ivy, unexpected blooms in concrete. Anniversaries marked not with extravagance, but echoes. That journal rebound with new pages. Our entries now joint tales of triumphs and tumbles. A weekend in the Poconos, no cell service, just hikes and hammocks, where Jordan proposed. Not with a ring, but a vow. "Marry me? Not for papers, but for us, till the world's end or ours." I said yes under star-pricked skies, the word a bridge to forever. Yet humanism demands shadows for light. Winter brought tests. Jordan's diagnosis, early rheumatoid arthritis. A genetic echo from his dad's side, flaring in his hands like accusations. Tools slipped, gigs strained. Doubt crept back, whispering he'd burden me. "What if I can't build anymore?" he'd rasp, joints swollen as we iced them in our kitchen. I'd counter with stories. Our story, pieced from fragments. The birthday grenade that exploded into grace. The betrayals that taught forgiveness. "You're not your hands, Jay. You're the heart wielding them." Therapy doubled down, meds adjusted. Slowly, adaptations emerged, voice-activated designs, collaborations where I sketched, he envisioned. The climax of our shared narrative crested not in drama, but quiet profundity. A relapse that landed him in the ER, fever raging, me pacing linoleum halls slick with worry. As monitors beeped, he gripped my hand, weak but fierce. "If I don't make it, you will." I cut in, voice breaking. "But if, promise you'll keep building. For us." He nodded, and in that vulnerability, love transcended, raw, unadorned, the essence of human connection. He pulled through, discharged to our bed with soup and stories. Recovery stretched months, but so did grace. Friends rotating meal trains. The center's kids sending crayon cards that read, "Build strong, Mr. J." It reshaped us. Jordan softer, me braver. Proving love's not absence of pain, but alchemy in its forge. Now, 2 years post-gift, we stand on that fire escape at dusk. Brooklyn's hum a lullaby. He's got a cane some days, but his laugh booms free. I trace the journal's spine, our lives inscribed within. "Changed us both, huh?" he murmurs, arm around my waist. "For the better." The city sprawls below, indifferent yet kind. A canvas for our ongoing masterpiece. In America's vast, flawed tapestry, we're one thread. Gay, straight no more, lovers, builders, survivors. Human, holy. And in the end, that's the gift that keeps giving, not perfection, but the messy, magnificent art of becoming.